Welcome back, everybody, to another series today in Accountant Showcase. With us, we have Geraldine Carter coming to us from Idaho. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Midwest. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out, join our audience today, and talk about your journey. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I coach CPAs and accountants in a both one-on-one style and in a one-to-many format, subscription coaching. And I got here because I started my own business in 2008 with a friend. And I immediately fell into the manage the money role because I have the engineering degree and I was happy with the math and the money. And what I found, what our business grew quite quickly. And all of a sudden there was all this money to manage. And our accountant was both incredibly helpful and entirely useless. And I know that might be tough to hear, but she helped us, keep our money organized and put it
Right.
like all into buckets and where it went. But what I needed was cash flow forecasting. And I didn't even know that word. And here I was 35. I had no, like every business owner who starts a business, basically no idea what I was doing and no help being able to understand how much money I could use to grow my business, how much I could invest in people to hire, how much the taxes were going to be on those people to hire. And it was also 2008, which, as you remember, or maybe not, was, a very difficult time in the economy. There was craziness with Social Security tax and 4.2 and 6.2. And it was just bewildering for a business owner to understand what it was going to cost to hire somebody, not to mention how much cash it was. The cash flow for our event company was we would have to front a bunch of cash and then get it later. And there were these giant peaks and valleys. So managing all that, anticipating that, she could not help me. She told me to just use the
Wow.
QuickBooks budgeting tool. And I was like, that thing is a joke. And so
Wow.
I did it all myself. I have an engineering degree. I know how to do all kinds of things with spreadsheets. So I did it all myself. And it was a very illuminating experience. When I left that company, I went out on my own, as one does, and a number of business owning friends and colleagues came to me, and we would always talk about math and money because I love to, and they would ask me about their financials, and they would say, "Can you help me understand my financials?" And I would say, "Yeah, I would love to." And then after a while, I was like, "Where's your accountant? How come they're not explaining this to you?" "Oh, they're too busy. Oh, they talk over my head. Oh, they talk down to me." And I was like, "What is going on here?" So at some point, I had a CPA reach out to me and say, "Can you help me grow my business?" And that was my entry point into working with CPAs. And that was a head scratch moment because I was like, don't you guys get business by osmosis? But the reality is that CPAs have a skill set just like every other business owner has a skill set, and that doesn't automatically confer business expertise. So I see a huge opportunity for everyone to benefit when CPAs and accountants who own their own business really understand what it takes to provide value in a business rather than just be the deliverer of accounting and tax returns, P&Ls, balance sheets, stuff like that. Really understand what the business owner is looking for. And I think the industry is headed there. But once that happens in a much bigger way, I think it'll be a very exciting shift for everybody who's involved.
Yeah, you said it spot on to where the industry itself is looked at to where it's just deadlines, doing data entry type of work, it's just tax returns, but it's not more of that outside the box thinking or where the providing real value to the clients and understanding the industry in which they work in, being able to provide ideas and different ways for them to manage their cash better. And uh, that type of a day-to-day practice takes time to develop, but then it makes your firm very attractive to work for. So for new candidates out there looking to, get into this industry, but not wanting, but don't want to do the day-to-day work, rather work with the client. So how in doing this now, the in working with your clients on a day-to-day basis, where do you find that it's like the biggest struggle in the beginning for them to overcome?
So it depends on where they are, right? So if I work with a CPA, the longer they've been in business, the more they have to unravel, right? And there's some really bad habits and there's a lot of dogma that needs to get undone and unbelieved, if you will. When I'm working with somebody who's newer, they tend to be younger and they tend to be, forgive me, hip to these newer, if you will, ideas, and they want to implement them from the get-go. So to go back to the accountant who's been doing it for 10, 20 years, they tend to have way too many clients, a lot of orphan 1040s. They tend to be way underpriced by probably 2 to 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
And those are, long-standing relationships that are difficult to let go of. So we have to navigate that in a way that they can feel good about. And they tend to be generalists. All things for all people. We can handle the manufacturer, the pharmacist, the local pharmacy. We've got the running shoe store. We have the church and the school. And we have some painters and some construction guys. And I'm thinking about taking on this cannabis. Like, no, you cannot, right? Like, just imagine the physician who's an oncologist, a surgeon, a pediatrician, and a psychiatrist. No, does not work, right? You would never go to that physician. You'd be like, you can't possibly be an expert in all these things. You're lying to me. There's a reason that they specialize. It's because there's a lot to know. And in order to provide real value, you've got to go deep and you've got to be an expert in something deep and narrow. If you want to provide real value, if you want to be underpaid, be a generalist. That is absolutely the way to go. But if you want to be well compensated and you want to do good work for your clients and provide real value, then specializing and niching is absolutely the path. And then you take that to the next level and you do the strategy work. The front of your door says strategy. And once they come inside, they do strategy work. And then, oh, by the way, we can do your accounting and take care of your books and your taxes. But if you put on the front of your door accounting and tax, once again, be prepared to be underpaid. That is way less valuable than strategy. Okay. So we get clients thinking like this, but they have to niche first because you've got to understand what is the strategy to have a business be more profitable. And if you're in 14 different kinds of businesses, how are you going to know what the strategy is to be more profitable? Mm-hmm. So niching allows you to become an expert, which then enables the CPA to provide strategy work, which is much higher compensated. It's sort of like, I don't like this expression, but anyways, it's a candy out the front, guns out the back. So you're doing, your candy out the front is a strategy. And then you sell them the accounting you maintain their accounting on the back end. Whole package, much more valuable than just accounting alone. Mm-hmm. And I know this because I paid my business coach who helps me with strategy 10 times more than I paid my CPA, 10 times more, because he helps me with strategy to grow my business, whereas my CPA did not. So we've got strategy, we've got niching, we have pricing, which we haven't touched on, but is a necessary component because nothing changes your profitability faster than your pricing, and focusing on outcomes. Right? You've got to get over the fact that the P&L and the balance sheet is so valuable. Most people ask your clients what they do. They get the email with the P&L and the balance sheet and they archive the email. They don't even look at it. It's just not that valuable to them. It's not that they don't or can't understand it, but they can't make a business decision from it. Very true. You've got I got balance sheets from my P&Ls from my accountant. And I was like, great. And then you know what I would do? I would take it and I would ask her for 12 different P&Ls of weekly, monthly, whatever, this date, that date, year to date, year to end, blah, blah, blah. And I would go and splice and dice the data and put it on my own spreadsheets. You cannot make a business decision. I could not make a business decision from a P&L. So the outcome that I wanted was to grow my business. It still is in this business, of course, but most of your business owning clients want to make more money and they don't want to work as hard. So help them figure out how to get there. And they cannot make the mental leap from a P&L to make more money and work less. So you've got the valuable role for an accountant, up and coming accountant, is to help bridge that gap for the business owner and talk to them at a level that they can understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can talk all day. You get me going.
And I'll go. I'm liking your story because it's extremely relevant, honestly. It's identifying the team that you have now, and is identifying to who needs to kind of upskill, or who can you reskill? Do you identify any leaders, and just building out the right team and process in place. And it just starts with all working together for the same common goal and the vision. And then now that we're in a remote virtual environment, you could hire folks anywhere in this country, finding the talent. But I think a lot of this of what you're saying and I'm saying is it's all starting with the mindset, right? You got to be willing and wanting, not reluctantly going into this process.
If
Uh,
you go reluctantly, you will burn a lot of energy.
yeah, yeah. Got to
Yeah.
stay positive, not negative. Positive attitude.
Sure. We'll look at the opportunity cost, right? Like not just the opportunity cost, but look at the opportunity. And when I work with clients and we make this transition, they, let's see, I'll give you some exact numbers. So
Sure.
one of my clients went from 750K in a 6-person firm to 1.05 million in about 18 months elapsed time with life hitter in a crazy way. So like 12 months of actual work.
Nice.
Another one added, let's see, she was at about a million, and we completely we gave her client roster a mad haircut, and still in about 8 months she created 750,000 of new advisory and CFO revenue. She basically took
How
a
long?
client roster that was low price heavy, and we just turned the whole thing on its head. And now all of her clients are between $40,000 and $110,000 a year. And she has about 25 clients instead of having 750.
Right.
So that's
Wow.
what it's like. It's not, I appreciate the mindset and like getting, wanting to do it. But when you can see yeah, I think it helps to see what's possible so that you can
Hmm.
go, oh, it can look like that. Yeah, give me some of that. I want that. But you've got to know what you're going for. And if you can't see it yet, it's hard to just like talk yourself into it. So I
Hmm.
think for your viewers to just know that the money is better, the hours are better, the sanity is better, there's way less chaos. You don't have to hire as many people to do as much grunt work. There's less technology to piece together and automate, fewer things break. It's just a much simpler and more enjoyable business. And bonus, you have a bigger impact on your client, which is way more fulfilling. So like I can't think of a downside.
Exactly. And was it always working with CPAs? I mean, you mentioned your story earlier when you loved and hated them at the same time. But was it always working with CPAs or what were you doing prior?
So I would too was a generalist business coach when I first started out, and I was working on mindset because one of the things that I took from my own business was the success in your business is so much about who you are, not just what you do. And it's about,
Yes.
I mean, when you own your own business, there's no hiding, right? What you
Yeah.
believe shows up in your P&L, and being able to grow as a person, to lead when you need to lead, to learn things that you might be scared to learn or not want to understand, to believe that you're not good at that, so you just ignore it. That stuff shows up in your P&L. So I'm fascinated, oddly, by the idea that of business as a sort of personal development journey. So I
Yeah.
kind of operate with one foot in each space of like, how can we be tactical and strategic,
Right.
and how can we develop you as a person and make you a more whole person, not change who you are, but make you a stronger version of yourself so that
Mhm.
together your business just takes off. It's like it has a larger gear operating underneath it.
And so it's essentially niched into the accounting industry and providing amazing value. And I love it. It's full circle now.
Mm-hmm.
So, the profession, working in this profession, lots changed over the last couple of years. And I think, folks I don't think embraced is the right word, but kind of just accepted the virtual remote changes. And then technology is becoming more prevalent. Do you still see this industry and your thoughts kind of growing over the next couple of years? Do you see it staying stagnant or unknown, or what are your thoughts?
So it's a great question. And I think anybody who thinks they have a crystal ball, check back with them in a couple of years. So what do I think is going to happen? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that there are a
Yeah,
lot of I think there are a lot of I can tell you what I see right now. And that is that a lot of CPAs and accountants are fried. So I think after this tax season, which I
mentally.
hear is a dumpster fire, it'll
Yeah.
just continue to get worse with more people aging out and leaving. I think we'll continue to see shortages, and I think we'll see a shortage for a while until enough of it kind of shakes free and enough people who are younger see the opportunity
Right.
and and have the sort of competence and confidence to go out on their own and create something different. So, I think I think it's going to be another 10 years before there's any kind of wholesale shift. But, we all have our predictions, and I wouldn't put any money on mine.
I feel like it was just overbearing for being deemed essential services, and then having to deal with COVID and yeah, the mental taxing, and then the resignation, everything that was occurring, and for folks to the amount of stress in dealing with that is just unbelievable. I lost my train of thought for a second. Sorry. So. And wrapping up today, before we leave, would you like to share an expert tip to a firm that's thinking about doing this or already doing this? Maybe it's not working, with the audience today.
Yeah, I think the single most important thing you can do is look at how you think about your business. And one of the things that I've created for audiences like ours is my $10,000 CPA scorecard, where you can go and actually score your thinking. Because what it can illuminate for you is where you might be thinking small or being resistant to opportunities that might be really valuable to you, to the audience, to listeners, viewers. And they can pick that up at my website. It's shethinksbigcoaching.com. So my piece for them, the one thing is just look at how you are thinking, because anything is possible. You can create any kind of business that you want. It's just a matter of believing that you can do it and getting the pieces in place to do it.
Yeah. And folks, thanks for your time today, and Geraldine for coming in and sharing. This is a great conversation, very relevant to me. I'm seeing the same things, and the services that you're doing for clients is exactly what they need. Exactly what they need. There's softwares and there's different ways to build your practice, but this process and moving to that advisory where the money is, and identifying where to bring in talent onshore, offshore, wherever it may be, and just really moving your firm, be ready for the future. So guys, check her out. Thanks for joining in. SheThinksBigCoaching.com. Geraldine, thank you again for joining in. Everybody else, we'll see y'all soon.
Thanks so much, Chris. It was great to be with you.